Hello and welcome to this video about how to secure your SAP system with an SSL certificate. So in this video I've installed a NetWeaver trial 1909 system in Docker. As you can see, you've just finished the installation here. So let's get started with adding it in and getting an SSL certificate for it. So first of all, it is a completely fresh system, so it probably needs to compile a bit, so bear with me. There's a couple of steps that we need to go through to get this done. First of all, we need to change the fully qualified domain name of the system. That is done in transaction RZ10. So here we find the profile parameter and maintain that. Go to extended and change. And then down here somewhere we have where it's added with dummy no domain. So I will add my, just bear with me, just make sure I do that correctly. I'll add my domain to it. I'll just change that one for good measure as well. So deluxe.com.au. Copy and go out, save. So that's been activated. So we need to do a restart of the system to get that running, but before we do that, we'll just go and do the other stuff in here so we can stop the system while we're fetching the SSL certificate. So under the SSL server standard, you can see the dummy no domain ID system. So let's go and change that. So we'll click replace, and yes, we want to replace it. So the name of here, I'll add the full name of the system, which is that one. In here, I'll add CAL-A4HCI. Company is Antilux, and then the country is AU. So instead of using the CA, we'll set that to country. By doing that, you can see how the standard PSE is different to the one we have on each of our clients. So what I tend to do is just add that to the same. That helps a bit. Alright, so it's still self-signed, and that's fine. We now need to create a certificate request that we then use to get the sign done. So we will export that out. Just choose a file here and place that. Alright, so now we're done so far. Let's restart the system. So either you can go via the Docker desktop and just run it directly on the CLI. I like to do it from the terminal here, so I'll create a little shortcut for that. Let's log in, and then SAP control. So that's given the instruction to the system to shut down. At some point, all of these will turn grey. So while we're doing that, we can now start fetching the certificate. So there is this little application here called Certify the Web, which is actually really cool and making it very easy for us to get the certificate. So let's create a new certificate. We will call this and on the domain, I'll add that in as well. So I'll add the full domain name to it, and we click on the advanced, and so under the signing here, I choose the CSR, which is a certificate signing request. So I save that in that one here. Now under the authorization, we have either a HTTP or DNS challenge type. HTTP is typically if you have your own web server, which we don't. So we'll change that to DNS. And then what you can do is use an API key. So the update method here, my domain is hosted with GoDaddy, but as you can see, there's a huge number of different ones in here. I have set up an API key, and you can see how there's documentation how you do this. But I've created an API key already. And then lastly, I'll add a deployment task to export the certificate out to our path here, so A4H with the signing chain. And you can see it's also chosen, or I have chosen the primary certificate and the immediate signing chain. So we can now request that certificate. And fingers crossed that is working. While we do that, let's just check off. Yep, so everything is stopped. Now let's start it again. So hopefully everything will turn green at some point. Let's go back here. So you can see this has been completed. I have in my folder here, you can see 10:32 PM. Yep, that's correct. So it's exported the certificate correctly as well. So now we just need to wait for the system to load back up. Oops, there we go. So it's coming back up. Next thing is we need to download the Root CA certificate. So in here you can choose, sorry I didn't show that before, when you do the certificate you can choose where you want it from. I think it's sorry, it's on here somewhere. Here. So you can either go with, so the free ones are Let's Encrypt and Buypass Go. Let's Encrypt gives you a 3-month, where Buypass Go gives you 6 months. So that's the one I've chosen. So I can go in here and just click the Bypass Class 2 Root CA, that's the one we need. And then we need to import that into our SAP System data store. So everything's green, we can now log back in. And just get the password as well. There we go. So we can see we have to change the full qualified domain name correctly. We will now go back into STrust, and in here put the change, and then we need to go and create into the certificate store database here, create a new custom one. So again, it's a new system, so it compiles, so we'll click the new button. As you can see, I've tried this before, and then classification of that is CA. You need to remember to put in the set, otherwise it's gonna complain a bit. So save and go back. Now I find this a bit counterintuitive, but you need to import the certificate here to then export it into the data store. So I have already downloaded this previously, so the BP class here. So then you can see the CA certificate and everything, and then we export that into the data store. If you don't do this step first, when you try to implement the import the CRT, it will say that it doesn't trust this, and therefore you can't do it. So it's a pretty important step. So we will now export it back into the data store, and yes for that. Just make sure we're safe. Alright, now let's try and import the signing request. Store that in here. So import, that went well. Just double check if, okay, so it's not down here go and add it in there as well. Yeah, and just for good measure on the client 0 as well. Alrighty. Now our certificate is signed. We can now, so I have in my host file, let me just look at. So in my host file here, I've already maintained the URL, so I'm just pointing it back to my local host here. If you want to open up to the internet, you can do the port forwarding, etc. I'll try to make another video about using some VPN stuff, so you don't have to do that, but that's going to be another video. So I think we are pretty much done. The only thing that's left is to test it out. So let's say HCI Deluxe, and then fingers crossed that it will run. So again, the system is compiling, but you can see here we've got a connection secured, a valid certificate that's issued by Buypass Go. So we have a fully secure SSL system. That was all I had to show for today. I'm looking forward to creating a few more videos. If you like what you see, I guess everybody's asking to subscribe, so please do that, or like the video, or share it with your friends and colleagues. So yeah.